Hi, I'm Marshall Stern, and I've spent over 35 years leading and growing multiple small businesses. I know firsthand the struggles of entrepreneurship, feeling isolated, lonely, overwhelmed, and feeling like you have to do it all by yourself. I've been through multiple recessions, and I have felt the highs and the lows. I've been there, and I get it. This podcast is here to change that. Every week, I will bring you straight talking advice, real world strategies, and honest conversations about what it takes to succeed in business without the fluff, the gimmicks, or the sugarcoating. If you're ready to stop spinning your wheels and start making real progress, then you are in the right place. This is the Stern Truth. All right, everyone, we're back. Welcome to another episode of the Stern Truth, Business Unfiltered. And today I have a very special guest. We have Rhiannon from Revive Marketing. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's so good to see your face.
It's great. Yeah, it's been a while. I know we met, we spoke a little while back. You're in California?
California, Los Angeles area. Yeah.
Perfect. So I'm coming to you from the 51st state of Canada. Yeah, we're not going to go there.
Politics right now, Canada, it's wild. We're in wild times,
We are in wild. I thought we were in wild times the last like 8 years, but
right?
it's back.
It's back.
It's back. Um, okay, so here we are. We're going to talk about the Stern Truth about your journey into entrepreneurship, this business thing we call it. When did you start? Tell me a little bit about your journey.
My background is working in advertising at the big holding companies. So I started as a straight out of college grad in big advertising. So Donnie Deutsch had a TV show back in the
Yeah.
day, and I worked at Deutsch Advertising in Los Angeles and worked on big accounts like Mitsubishi. That was like my first auto account. I grew up in LA Auto for the first 5 years of my business. I worked on Kia Motors, I worked on Lexus, and sort of had this grumbling in my stomach for something else. I was 25, and I call it the quarter life crisis.
Hmm.
You've graduated college, you have this career, you think you know everything, and I just needed to go somewhere else. So New York, LA, I was in LA, grew up from Texas, went to LA. Now I needed to go to New York. So it was 2007. It was good economy, but I went to New York City with no job, no place to live, one-way ticket, couple suitcases. I booked a room at the YMCA in Harlem, and I interviewed. I interviewed at all the top ad agencies, McCann Erickson, PhD, like you name it. They all were like, we need a media supervisor. You're that right mix for us. You let us know which job you want. And it was a great opportunity for me. I ended up at McCann Erickson working on Johnson and Johnson, worked there for several years, and met my now husband on a blind date. So we were very young. We were 26. I was 26. He was 30, early 30s, and we ended up wanting to come back to LA. So I came back to LA, went into sales, and I did sales for about 7 years on the publisher side. Ended up back on the agency side, and that's kind of when I started my first side hustle. So I like to talk about my side hustle because it goes to business unfiltered and stern truth
Yeah.
of running businesses, and that I tell people all the time, I'm like, if you're gonna start a business, start it while you're in corporate. Do your
Mm.
first attempt in learning your failures while you still have a day job, because I learned so much doing that business. I invested in a real estate property in Austin, Texas, because that's where I'm from. And I had I was an Airbnb superhost. I had an
Mm.
Airbnb house there. I had to learn what a P&L was. I had to create a corporation. I had to do expense reports like for my own business. Like I learned so much about running a business doing that. I ended up doing a couple other real estate investments over the coming years while working a corporate job. I ended up moving more into like freelancing, and which I love to talk about. It's really just trading dollars for hours. It's not flexible. It's not all these things that are promised when you're a freelancer or consultant, or now it's called fractional, right? So this, anyway, I could talk about that too, but this time of my life, I was freelancing and then running these side businesses. And so I did that for several years through the pandemic. And I like to call the pandemic the great reevaluation. We
Yeah.
all have a pandemic story, something that we changed, something that happened, and so my couple of my evaluations were one, I sold all the real estate that we owned and invested in the home we have now. So that was a big
Mhm.
shift to give up businesses, but we did great on the investments. The economy was changing. We kind of made that decision. And then the other one was shifting into deciding to own my own company and run my own business. And so leaving corporate, that decision to start my own company and do my own thing at the in the last couple of years. So that's a long story, but it's been a journey.
So I'm living vicariously through your earlier years in New York in the ad agency world,
Yes.
and I guess LA, because that was kind of like, that was my thing. That's what I wanted to do. I was like a 30 something guy. That
Yeah.
was my favorite TV show. And I remember coming out of university, college,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to do.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I graduated in the early 90s. So, and it's not about me, but it just, that's what I wanted. But there was
Yeah.
like, no one was hiring. It was a recession in the early 90s.
Yeah.
But interviewed at all the big agencies here.
Yes.
And that's how I got into this business, or not
Yeah.
into this. That's how I got into my previous business, which was a sign company, because it was like kind of like ad related. You were doing stuff for like promotional stuff for companies. Um, but yeah, no one would hire me, so I started my own business.
I love that. Yeah.
Um, what what's it like in the ad industry? Like the whole marketing, what's it like doing this?
Stressful.
Yeah.
I think there I read a poll once that said that of the top like 10 most stressful jobs, working in advertising is like one of the jobs that can kill you. Like it is high
Yeah.
stress. It's the environment is stressful. The expectations are stressful. I mean, you're dealing with hundreds of millions of dollars. It's not like
Mhm.
a little couple pennies here. Like it's a large amounts of money. People really take it like you're doing open heart surgery. It is a very high pressure, high intense situation. You come into work every single day with pressure. It's also highly competitive, which is great. It's a sink or swim mentality. I am definitely a swimmer, so I just always kept going. But I do think there's a shift with Gen Z that we're seeing across all industries. But my day as being a, cusp Gen X millennial person was like, you work the hours, you grind, and you
Mhm.
grow. And that's kind of what we were told is like every amount of working overtime is an opportunity because you're learning, which is true. But just sort of the expectation was so high and so intense. I'll give you an example. Working in New York City was fantastic, right? Like I got taken to all the top restaurants by all the sales reps. So you name it, like shishi reservations, I got to do it. I got to go on boondoggles, going traveling with publishers because they paid for us to go because they got our undivided attention and could sell us on, why we should invest money with them. I got to go on the Forbes yacht and like go around the city and like see the Statue of Liberty from the Forbes yacht. Like crazy shit that it's like nobody gets to experience that stuff, right? Like it's very,
Yeah.
very few people get to experience that. On the flip side of it, it was 4 o'clock in the morning and we have a presentation the next day and I'm at McCann Erickson in this tall high tower building trying to print my deck for the next day because we still had to print our decks for our clients
Okay.
and I can't find a printer that works. So I'm going to every floor and like looking at what name it is and like on my little laptop like listening for a printer that I think is printing because I need to print
Oh my
this
God.
deck and a presentation's the next day and of course we're working on it till the last minute and it's 4 in the morning. So like it's
Yeah.
the other
Yeah.
side of like it's just the expectation. You show up to work the next day, your boss has the printed decks on their desk ready to go. So it's like
Oh.
the two sides of those like expectations, but then there was like the fun side too.
So tell me about, so then you have the transition to your own business. So how does it relate? Not relate, but what's the good, the bad, the stuff we don't hear about with brand
Yeah,
owner?
yeah. I think so stern truth
Stern
about
truth.
the transition is I would say for me, I had an advantage because I did ad sales. And the biggest shift for me was going from a buyer or strategist to sales. And I had a boss that told that like put it so eloquently that when you're an employee, your employee mentality is you come into work every day and your inbox is full. I mean, I was getting 500, 700 emails a day that had to be filed, looked at, whatever, something. Okay, so inbox full. You show up to work as a salesperson, inbox empty. No to-do list, no task list. You have to create it yourself. You
Right.
have to push yourself to say, how many outreaches am I going to do in a day? How many calls am I doing in a day? And I mean, you have sales goals and you have, these things you have to reach, but how are you going to get there? You have to figure that
Mhm.
out yourself. And that shift for me was the hardest. And luckily, I did that shift. I think it was 26, 27-ish, when I made that switch from being a buyer and a strategist to being a salesperson. And it was the hardest switch, but like one of the most amazing tools that I have
Yeah.
because you name it, like smile and dial, like
Yeah.
a no is just the first step to a yes. Like I learned all these sayings. I had a boss that gave me like CDs for my car. So I was like driving around listening to like motivational like sales
Yep.
things before YouTube, was a thing. It was like CDs in your car, like
Yep.
motivating a salesperson. So that shift gave me that sort of foundation that is really hard to go from.
So actually, just reminding me of something because we get used to what we have, right? YouTube, podcasts, all that kind of stuff. Everything's at your fingertips. But I remember I was a huge Success Magazine subscriber, and every month, um, with the Success Magazine was a CD, and it was one of
Okay.
these thought leaders, Jim Rohn, John Maxwell, who's my mentor, Darren Hardy, who was a publisher at the time. And I remember because we'd put it in our car. Well, now most cars don't have CD players.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I remember that. That was great. I have a whole library of these success
Right.
CDs.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we did.
That's what we did. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
it was one of them was Jack Canfield. He had
yeah.
yeah. Like yeah, he had his chicken soup for the soul, but he had his whole
The
sales
six,
thing and like
yeah,
motivation, mindset shifts. Like
yeah,
that CD collection changed my mind, like changed my
yeah,
life. Like it
yeah.
changed the way that I thought about everything.
I
And
think it's
that's what pushed
six
me, motivated me.
success principles or something. I have
I
one of
think that
those.
was it. Yeah, the
I
success
have that one.
principles. That's right.
The
Yeah.
CD program. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And he talks about how I remember in that he talks about how they went to 100 publishers to get
Mhm.
Chicken Soup published. They got 100 no's, and I think he said he was in the shower and he was ready to give up, and they went to one more, and then it was the 101st,
Yes,
whatever it
yes,
was. Yeah,
exactly. That kind of stuff. And
yeah.
it was right around the time of like my boss was talking about like money, like what are you going to do with your money? Like the why of why you're doing what you're doing.
Mm,
And I had never like I just had a different upbringing. Like my blue collar childhood, upbringing was like the money that I was making in sales was another level of money that I hadn't seen. I didn't know how to handle that level of money. Like that was not
mm,
something I was used to. So that was another shift for me, was going from saying like, oh, I'm used to a large amount of money being, $50,000, $80,000 a year. Like when I made my first six figures, I was like, oh my God, I went and bought myself a Coach purse. Like I thought Coach was like
yeah,
luxury Coach, right? I thought that was a luxury bag for myself. Like I did not grow up around money. I didn't know how to deal with money. So
mhm.
when I made my first, I think it was like, it's probably one of the biggest commission checks I got, but I got a very nice commission check that was over six figures. And I knew I was going to use that for a down payment on a condo. And that was like, damn, I am taking this check. Like even the bank teller like looked at me, this like young 30-year-old, going and pulling this money out for an escrow check. And she was like looking at me like, and I said, this is mine. I earned this.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
wasn't
yeah, yeah.
given to me. Like this,
She's probably thinking
this is
like
my down
illegal.
payment on my condo.
She's probably thinking like illegal or something. What did you do?
Right, right. Yeah. Like who gift
Yeah,
or your parents gifted you this.
your
Like
parents. Yeah,
great to those parents and I hope I can do that for my kid. But
yeah,
this was
yeah.
something that I earned and like that shift was so hard also because it was like, oh, what do I do with this check? And it was like, oh, I'm going to invest this in real estate. And that was the first piece of real estate that I bought. And that's when I saw, oh, the
Oh,
power in investment
yeah.
and what you can do with money.
Mm. Lots of shifts.
Lots
Lots
of
of
shit.
shifts. Lots
Yeah.
of shifts. So shifting. Speaking of shifts, so you
Yeah.
mentioned your kid, your child. You have a 4.5 year old,
Yeah. He's about 4.5 now.
four and a
Yes.
half now. So what's it like to talked about this at the beginning before we got on here.
Yeah.
The struggle of the juggle. Is it a struggle of the juggle?
Yes. Yes. I think that I grew up in an era of like, she can have it all. Like, as a mom, you can have a career, you can be a mom, you can be a wife, you can like have all these things and like go get it. And I'm so glad that I grew up in that era because I do think that there's an element of like, just go after it. I loved Lean In, right? Like the book
Hmm.
about, right? Like, why am I forget Sheryl Sandberg's Lean In.
Hmm.
And to me, that was so powerful of like, just push on the gas because when the baby comes, when you have a kid, you're going to make decisions that you don't even know you're going to make. So just put the foot on the gas and don't let up because you know that someday you're going to have a kid. It's kind of the premise that I took away from it. So by the time I did have a kid and I waited, I didn't have mine until I was 39 when I had my son. So I pushed my career all the
Hmm.
way and it was a major shift for me, but I had built all of this up. So being where I am now, it is definitely, I think as a society, we're moving away from like she can have it all to like something's got to give.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be career
Mm.
some hours of the day. You're gonna be mom some hours of the day. And if you're lucky, you get to be wife sometimes of the day and get like date night and some things like that. And then sometimes you have yourself, right?
I
Like
was going to say, yeah,
you have to
yeah,
put yourself in there too. Now I clearly lost that what was it last year, the year before, I think. I was setting my quarterly goals and I set everybody else on my quarterly goals
yeah,
but myself. And by the end of the year, I was like, wait a minute, I'm so burnt out. I'm
yeah.
so overworked. I'm so all these things. And so this year I was like, wait a minute. It's because I wasn't on the list. Like, oh my God, I forgot myself. And I think that is such a true statement for us as moms, as women. It's like, oh my gosh, we put everybody else on the list of
Yeah.
priorities,
Yeah.
but me was not on the list. So,
Well, even when you mentioned it just a few minutes ago, it was boom, boom, boom. Oh yeah, and then
oh
there's
yeah.
myself. Then
Right.
there's myself.
Yeah.
And that's a difference, big difference between stereotypically between men and women,
Yes.
fathers and mothers and fathers, right?
Exactly.
It's
Yes.
men are from Mars, women are from Venus, all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Because I fed my kids
Yes.
after I ate.
Yes.
It's like, no, you guys wait. They could be,
Yeah.
not they weren't screaming or whatever, but it's just, I got, I had to get up. I had to have my coffee. I
Yeah.
had to eat something. Then I'll take
Yeah.
care of the oxygen mask analogy.
Yes.
Whereas my wife, it's like, it's 12 o'clock and she's in her pajamas and still dealing with the kids.
Yeah.
I remember those days, right?
Yes.
Maybe it wasn't that bad. 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is a difference. And I think as a society, kind of going back to societal norms, like societal norms have shifted, but
Yes.
they haven't shifted that much.
Yeah.
And those are areas where I do tell my husband constantly, like I try to I'm a communicator. I know sometimes an over communicator, but sometimes I do have to like remember and be like, thank you for being a co-parent. Like, thank you for
Yeah.
doing this thing that you're doing. And sometimes it's me going out with my mom friends, which is taking care of me. It's like
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
time for me and hearing other stories and or talking to my other friends and being like, oh, like they didn't do that, or like, oh, this didn't
Oh,
happen. And then I like come home and I'm like, babe, like, thanks. You really are like we do it together.
well, it's funny me hearing that because it's like you're saying, babe, thanks. It's like, But why? It's like when
Right?
it's like, you know, when my kids were younger, my mom would call and say, "Oh, honey, what are you doing?" And I'd say, "Oh, just, my wife went out with or with her mom friends or whatever."
Yeah.
And she goes, "Oh, so you're babysitting the kids?" I said, "No, I'm not babysitting them. They're my kids.
Right.
You
Right.
don't babysit your own
You
kids."
don't exactly.
But
Exactly.
and she didn't understand that because
Right.
my father never, and
Yes.
what do you mean you're, and when she'd come and visit, what are you changing the diaper for? Your father never changed one diaper.
Yeah.
A lot of men back in the day, going back to 30 something, the show, of course, a lot of men weren't even in the delivery room.
Right. Right. Yeah. And so
Uh,
I agree with that. Yeah. And I
uh,
think so as a society, I do think we've shifted better into
yeah,
more co-parenting, but you're right. I still think there's
yeah,
an element of, but I do think, I guess what I'm getting at is like recognizing the effort. And as a
yes, yes, yes,
partner in life,
yeah,
like I like when he recognizes my effort and I like to recognize his effort.
yes.
So,
And if he's watching this, you're appreciated,
yes. Yes.
um, or listening. So I'm curious about you, like now in
Yeah.
Revive.
Yes.
What's your big focus for your clients? What's your sort of genius zone?
So it's interesting because I feel like I've just started to refine this, revive this even more. And that is really business strategy
Okay.
because I've run my own businesses. I've been a part of such large corporations. And I would say that in my corporate jobs, that's usually where I would get my hand slapped. Like I would get in trouble for like
Mhm.
asking too many questions or like, Rhiannon, just do it. Like, Rhiannon, don't you just know? And I'm like, no, I don't know unless I know what is the vision? Where are we trying to go? What are the goals? What are the objectives? I can get us there. I just don't really understand where it is that you want to go. And
Mhm.
so that's really my superpower. And there's a book I'm reading right now called The Unicorn Team, I think,
Okay.
and it's calling me a strategizer. So there's like the vision person, there's the strategy person, and then there's the mobilizer person. And I'm a strategy person. And like I love coming up with strategies. Like you tell me where
Mm.
you want to go, you be the
Right.
vision, you give me your vision, you tell me what you want to do. I'll figure out how to get you there and then get this team to like help you get there. But having that strategy mindset and having that ability to like talk through with my clients. So I sit down with all my clients and I do what's called a vitality plan. And I sit down with them for 2 hours and I ask them a series of questions. And a lot of them seem out of context to what they think they're getting on the phone with me about. And that's because I dig into their business. I want to know, where are they trying to go? Why are they trying to get there? What kind of things that they love about themselves? What kind of things do they not like about their business, their industry? Things like this. Very like
Mm.
thought-provoking questions. And people, a lot, the reason it takes 2 hours is sometimes the clients are like, oh my gosh, I don't know. And I have to like sit there and like wait because I want this gold. Like I want this nugget of information to like flow out of them. And people be like, that's a good question. It like takes a while. So I book this amount of time more to like give thinking time. And when I get that information from them is when I can really craft a business strategy and a voice, a marketing voice and a vision and all
Mhm.
these things that they need out of these like pieces and nuggets of information. But I think that's really what I'm finding now is my superpower and like what I really love to do.
Okay, so all this stuff is good. This is great. It's like, I love it. It's your superpower. You've done all this stuff. Tell me the hard stuff.
The
Tell
hard
me
stuff.
the hard stuff.
I mean, the hard stuff is being visible. Like for me as a business owner, the
Yeah.
hard stuff is letting people know that I can have the superpower. Like,
Mhm.
I think even figuring out what the superpower exactly was very difficult. Early in this
Mhm.
business, one of the things I read or heard was it's hard to read the label on the outside of the jar when you're in it. And I think that's
Oh,
true.
like
Yeah,
that.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think that's true for everybody. And I'm a marketer, and it was very frustrating to me that I couldn't read my own label because I just was I don't understand why I can't see it. And so it's been
Mm.
very frustrating. And that has been like rounds and rounds and rounds of iterating my message and changing my byline and changing my headline and changing my niche and like all of these iterations of what I've had to go through over these last couple years to get to where I'm at now. And will it change? Probably. But it's been
Yeah.
very difficult to read my own label um, because it's hard to see ourselves.
Well, that's why I like the Undercover Boss, the TV show, right? I used to love watching it, right?
Yeah.
Because it is, yeah. You will almost have to become a customer of our own just to see what the outside
Yes.
world sees. But
Yes.
most people don't take that shift.
They don't. They
So it's a
don't, but they
shift.
could just hire me to do it and I'll
They
do it
could
for
just hire,
them.
you'll do it. You'll do that. You'll do it. You're all about the shifts. You'll do that. You'll help them with the shift.
Yes.
Um, what do you think separates? Here's a question for you. What
Okay.
do you think separates? Because obviously you've had different businesses. You work with businesses of all sizes. Like what kind of size of business would
I
you say
mean,
you?
like the biggest was like a four partner law firm, and that was like a little
Okay.
too big. Like that was too many people. Like I feel like
Okay.
I work really well with personal brands or one to two people. Like this landscape architect company I worked with
Yeah.
was a couple, and like
Okay.
one to two is really
Yeah.
my sweet spot.
Okay. Perfect. So what would you say would be separate those who struggle to grow from those who actually are on the right path toward achieving the vision that they have for their company? What do you think is,
I think the first step to me is knowing that they've tried everything that they can try on their own. And I think that that's been a big aha moment for me because I tried helping clients who are like brand new or coming to me with a business idea and like that it's you got to try fleshing it out. You got to try it. You have to give it a beat. And then it kind of like dawned on me like I did name my business Revive. Like and it was sort of serendipitous, but like
yeah.
I must have understood something about myself that I can revive what you already have. And that to me is
Mm,
where I think for people they need to have that shift. They need to be ready and open to a change. And that's what's hard because people will spin themselves to death and try all the things and DIY it and build their own websites and go on all these chat threads and hire multiple people off of Fiverr and get frustrated because stuff isn't working and they don't know why it's not working. And it's hard to teach yourself. I taught myself how to build websites on Squarespace. I taught myself how to build email newsletters through Flowdesk and MailerLite and how to link your DKIM and your DNS on your back end and like figure out how all this stuff works. Like this is a lot of work.
mhm.
To me, it was with the goal of like, I'm going to be able to use this and sell this for other people. But to be your own business and like have to service all your clients and learn all this stuff, like you have to be ready to be
Yeah.
like, I've tried it. I've tried it, Rhiannon. Help me.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's again going back to the shift, right? It's a shift of knowing when it's the time, because we all I talk about we have to be the coach, not the player,
Yes.
right? So when we start a business, a lot of times we have to get in there and we're playing, we're the player, we're the marketing strategist, we're the coach, we're the like coach, we're the web developer, whatever. We're doing the technical work, the skill.
Yes. Yes.
But at some point, you have to step back and you actually have to be the leader or the coach and bring on players to help you to get to the next stage, whether it's employees, subcontractors, strategic partners, mentors, accountants, bookkeepers, lawyers, all that stuff on your team.
Exactly. And I know that for me, the one of the biggest shifts, another big shift that I have had as a business owner,
Yeah.
and I tell people this all the time, is like everyone should have a therapist and a business coach. It's
Yeah.
like you got to do the therapy work of like all these blocks and things that are happening. But a business coach like you, like the person that I work with, is like, wow, the breakthroughs that I have been
Yeah.
able to have, I am so much further along with the amount of money I've spent on that
Yeah.
than, I mean, easily, I would say I'm 3 years ahead. of where
Hmm.
I would be now. Like that would be my quantifiable because I love to quantify everything or measure
Yeah.
or have data. And so
Oh, yeah.
I'm I feel like I'm 3 years ahead every year of coaching that I pay for. So
Wow.
I like really love to tell people like
Yeah.
invest in coaching because I'm telling you it's
Yeah.
gonna be worth it, right? It's same thing with marketing. Like marketing costs a lot of money, but
Yes.
you're gonna be at least a year ahead. Okay,
Yeah.
let's be conservative with an investment of $10,000. Like $10,000 in your business
Yeah.
in marketing is going to get you at least a year ahead. Like that's
But I want to add something to that. Yes, investing in marketing, but investing in someone like yourself,
right,
people, right? In marketing, because a lot
right,
of people try to do it again themselves.
right.
And not only do they actually, well, they actually go backwards and they actually
Right.
spend, like I used to do my own, like years ago, I was growing a Facebook group and I did my own Facebook ads. And it was a lot easier back then. It was probably like in 2014, 2015.
Yeah.
Um, and it worked at the beginning, but then it stopped working. And I
Yeah.
couldn't keep up with algorithms,
No.
right? So just, you have to bring on the experts, bring on the people on your team.
And that's what's interesting is that the people that come to me for the most part come to me because of paid ads. Like that was my background.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
worked in the agency for a decade.
yeah, yeah,
Like building 2 decades, building or selling or, around advertising. So like I understand ads all day long, and I'm like, you're trying to swim with these huge fish, okay?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
you're in a little pond here. Let's
yeah,
do all these other things first, and I promise you're gonna get a faster, better return
yeah,
than going and trying to play over here.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it is overwhelming for, I mean, people coming in, especially new entrepreneurs coming into the space where it's a global, like the whole global economy. There's
Yeah.
so much we can do and it gets overwhelming.
Yes.
So I think it's really important. Yes, coaches obviously being, I have a coach myself and it's really, really important, but also just bring on experts on to your team like yourself. So
Yes.
we can focus on what we do best
Right.
and what our superpower is and let everyone else, like people like yourself and, the bookkeeper, the accountant, like
Right.
I first year in business in 1994, when I had my sign business, I did the books myself. Every
Yes.
Saturday I would go in or every Sunday I'd go in. I loved it at the beginning because it's like, this is
Yeah.
my baby. My accountant fired me after 1 year, said, you're out. We're getting you a bookkeeper.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I had my weekends back and then I started having kids and whatever. And yeah,
And I do think that that analogy plays true exactly. Like, would you go to a doctor for a broken leg and they're like, oh, I'm not sure how much this is going to cost or how to fix this exactly. Like,
yeah,
let me get back to you, or like, let me send you a proposal, or like, all these things where you're like, no, like you want to hire an expert, you
yeah.
go in and they're going to fix this for you. Yeah.
So before we go, there's one thing, because I always hear it, not just in the coaching space, but in your space as well. Or um, I know a lot of like virtual assistants hear it as well. It's the famous line, I will hire you when.
Mm,
So what's the like, I'm sure you've heard that in your years. I'll bring you, yeah, I'll hire you. You give a proposal, I'll hire you when? When what?
yes.
Well, when I have enough money, when I have enough clients. Well, when's that going to be? Well, when I
Right.
have more business. Well, how are you going to get more business if you don't?
Exactly. And I'm guilty of it too. I mean, I think we all come against societal norms is the scarcity mindset, and that we are, the Great Depression of holding on to things and like don't spend this money, and like moving into a mindfulness of an abundance mindset is
Yeah,
very difficult, and saying like I'm going to invest this money in myself, I'm going to invest this in my business, and this is going to get me this thing. And that's
yeah,
very hard to trust. And for me, the first time I did spend in coaching, I was like, oh my God, like in corporate where I grew up, like you don't spend that money on yourself, right? But as a business owner and seeing where you want to go, it is a shift, and it is difficult to make this decision. So, but like I'll be ready when it kind of goes back to what I was saying about that the data and looking at where do you want to go is like, well, if I invest this money now, I'm going to get my business faster,
Yeah.
further, quicker. So, right, it's quick, it's faster, it's cheap. Like,
Yeah.
can't have all
Yeah.
three. So it's kind of like it kind of ties into that too of like, yeah, sure, you could sit there and wait all the time, or you can
Yeah.
keep paying these people to do it fast and cheap. But when you're finally ready to go, okay, I see what's possible now,
Yeah.
and that's whenever it's time to hire.
Well, right now we're just ending, when we're recording this, we're just ending, about to end Q1, right?
Yes.
So when people hear this and if they listen to the recording, I just want everyone listening. And it's like, okay, it might be Q2 now. It might be Q3 now. Are you ready to hire? Are you ready to go to that next step? What if you had done this and brought on someone like Rhiannon or maybe not me, business coach or a
Yes.
mentor, a guide,
Yes.
2 months ago, 2 years ago?
Right. I mean,
Imagine where you'd been.
exactly. And so it's never too late. I think if it's never too late to create content, it's never too late to write emails. It's never
Right.
too late to pick up the phone and smile and dial clients, right? Like it's
Yeah.
never too late to start. It's more of like, yeah, making the
Yeah.
decision and going. And it's
Yeah.
hard. It is very
Yeah.
hard.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Last thing, advice for other business owners, people who might be new in business or kind of like at that point where they're just like, I don't know. I don't know what the
I
next
think
step
the
is.
number one thing is you are a brand. Every single one of us is a brand, and that's hard to realize. Like how you put yourself on social media, how you put yourself on LinkedIn, how you show up is your brand. You are a brand. So if you're thinking about making a change, you're still in corporate and you're thinking about making a change, still be on LinkedIn, still update your profile, still be looking at what types of things you could be talking about. If you are currently have a business and you're like, okay, I'm not sure where to go, look at yourself, the about
Yeah.
you, about us, about your business. Like people want to know who they're buying from and why they're buying from you. So like showing up and being as your true authentic self, that would be my number one advice is like to look at that.
I love that. I love that. Okay. So we're going to put people want to get in touch with you. We're going to put your contact info in the show notes.
Yes.
If you wanted to say to people who might be watching this on YouTube or listening, and
Yeah,
maybe if you want
absolutely.
to,
They can
what's the
come to
best
my
way?
website, Revive Marketing, and I spell it with my name, RHI, Revive Marketing, and they can check out my cash out blueprint. So
Mhm.
it's Revive Marketing slash cash out, cash dash out. It's
Okay.
also on my homepage of my website, so that you can download my freebie, and it'll give you kind of some tips on creating
Okay.
packages and pricing
Oh,
for your business. And yeah.
I'm going to go do that right now and do that right after this.
Okay,
Um,
great.
and I'll put that down below or in the show notes or wherever it is on this thing or whatever people are listening or watching. And
Great.
that's awesome. Thank you so much for being part of our journey here. And we're right at the beginning. We're going to have many more episodes. So hopefully we can have you back and you can tell us more shifts because there's
I would
been a
love
lot of
it.
shifts here.
A lot of shifts today.
A
Yes.
lot of shifts. So thank you. And thank you all for listening. And we will see you again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to The Starting Tree. If you found today's episode helpful, we would love to hear from you. Please like, share, and leave us a review. Also, if you'd like to be a guest in an upcoming episode or join us in one of our Momentum Accountability Group sessions, simply email me to marshall@marshallstern.net. That's marshallstern.net. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep pushing forward and leading with confidence.